Hello Crafty Crandall fam! Today I thought it would be a fun idea to just sketch on this beautiful morning and take you along with me for the process. I have been really enjoying the Shadow and Bone Netflix series recently, and so I have taken a couple of screenshots that I would like to try to recreate in my sketchbook. Along with that, I will give you my first impressions as you watch the speed paint of me painting this. So without any further ado, let's get to it, shall we? Cheers! So as I stated, I just want to give a little bit of an insight into my first impressions on Shadow and Bone, the Netflix series. But first, to provide a little bit of context, I have read both the Shadow and Bone series and Six of Crows. I actually read Six of Crows before Shadow and Bone, but regardless, I have read them both, so I'm familiar with all of the characters in the show. I think thus far they have done a phenomenal job of all of the scenery, and just the production value of the show is so good. Additionally, the actors I think are really true to the characters themselves, which is so refreshing and just really great to see as far as, a show is concerned. Sometimes I find that I don't like the actors, or I don't like how they're choosing to portray the characters that I really love in the book. So to see such an excellent adaptation here was really something that has kept me watching. I'm currently on the 4th episode and am still truly enjoying it thus far. The scene from my references is, I believe, from episode number 2, in which I took both screenshots of the Darkling and Alina in the meadow after he saves her from the Fjerdans who attacked them on their way to the little palace. I love Ben Barnes, who is the actor for the Darkling. He was such a phenomenal choice. He plays the part so well, and the Darkling is actually one of my favorite characters, in addition to Inej, who is also portrayed phenomenally well. So again, really loving this thus far. One thing that I am wondering about, how they're going to kind of continue the storyline, because if you've read the books, then you know that the storylines are actually 2 separate timelines, and so they've kind of brought everything together into the same parallel timeline, and so it's a little bit unpredictable how they're going to merge the 2 stories together. Thus far, it looks like they've got a solid foundation for the plot, and they're really progressing forward in a way that makes sense. However, going forward, it'll just be interesting to see how they continue to merge the 2 storylines together into one coherent plot. I have not watched anyone else's review video or anything of the sort, because I want to finish the series for myself first before kind of jumping in and seeing what other people's opinions were and kind of assessing whether or not I agree with them or not. Something that did surprise me about the show itself was Baghra. I did not in my mind, Baghra does not look like she does in the show, and so while I think that it is a really interesting take on Baghra as a character, and I think it works very well, it's just not how I pictured her in my mind. Whereas for the most part, the rest of the characters I feel are pretty accurate to what I imagined them to be. Jesper especially. Jesper is exactly as I envisioned him, so I love that representation of Jesper. And I'll be interested to see kind of some of the other characters as well as we move forward in the plot. But overall, again, just really enjoying Shadow and Bone as a series. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. If you have watched the show and also read the books, what your opinions were. I personally loved these books. I think I liked Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom more than I liked the Shadow and Bone books. However, I think that as all of the characters in the Grishaverse. Definitely like Nikolai, but also the Darkling are my two favorite characters. So it'll be interesting to see how, again, this kind of progresses. I also have not read the most recent book by Leigh Bardugo. I think it's Rule of Wolves. I have not read that. I did read the predecessor to it, so hopefully once I catch up with the series, like, I'm sure that they'll wait until probably season 2 or 3 to kind of bring that storyline in, but it'll just be a really fun wild ride to see how they continue to adapt this series into this Netflix visual representation. To talk a little bit about my painting here, I really enjoyed painting this piece. I think that it was a lot of fun to try to capture like all of the shapes and all of the generalized concepts within the piece without worrying too much about the details. I never do go back and darken his hands, which still kind of bugs me. I think that I might just go back in real time and just do that for myself. But other than that, as far as like the details are concerned, I didn't really attempt to capture them. I kind of left it as generic as possible so that you could kind of get the idea of what's going on in the piece without, it being super photorealistic. For the lower portrait of the Darkling, I tried to get a little bit more detailed, and I think that I really like kind of the contrast of this as far as the composition of the piece is concerned, so hopefully you appreciate that as well. Additionally, I did try to write out the logo, but then I got super lazy with it, so as you can see, it's not really that detailed. But this is my sketchbook, and I don't need 100% finished pieces in my sketchbook to feel happy with them. I really liked doing the piece, again, on more of a compositional level to kind of pick out what was important in the composition and roll with it. So I think in that respect, this piece was valuable to help me improve in my artwork and was a valuable bit of practice to add to my repertoire. I really think that that's something I'm trying to do more recently, is just kind of pick the pieces that will challenge me so that in practicing I am forcing some form of improvement, whether that be like here with my portraiture and painting faces, and additionally the composition. But more recently I've just been trying to pick those pieces, and hopefully that kind of shows in my videos as well. I really enjoy documenting my art journey in this way. YouTube has been a great platform for me to kind of push myself artistically, but also kind of have a forum to look back on my artwork so that I can acknowledge what I have and have not improved on. From a color standpoint, I really liked this piece as well. I think pushing the colors has been another way that I've kind of been trying to improve, not only in the physical colors that I use, but also mixing colors. I think that I've gotten better at mixing the colors that I really want from my palette and utilizing my palette kind of efficiently or effectively in that way. I've gotten to know this palette very well. This is my Sennelier watercolor palette, along with a couple of additional colors that I've got from Winsor & Newton and M. Graham. But I find that I just gravitate toward this palette because I've practiced with it so much and really know it. And so when I do one day invest in another set of watercolors or kind of add additional colors to this palette, it will be interesting to kind of incorporate them into this tried and true palette that I have developed. But anyway, if you liked this video, please feel free to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you're interested. Thank you so much. And there you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video and hearing my thoughts and first impressions on the Shadow and Bone Netflix series, and also on the books themselves. I hope that you enjoyed watching me paint this piece and that the process behind it was pretty clear. I hope that you have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!